Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fantasy Book Podcast. This is Gorilla Monsoon, and I'm joined as always by the one and only Bobby the Brain Heenan. Super-Wrestlemania 2 is nearly upon us, folks, and the excitement is already starting to build. But before we get to that huge night, we have a fantastic episode lined up for you today. We're going to break down the full Super-Wrestlemania 2 card, take a few questions from the fans who have been writing in, and also take a look at some of the very first bits of movement that have started happening now that we are inside the WWE Multiverse. Some intriguing cross-era activity has already begun to take place. For those of you just joining us, let me quickly explain how our multiverse works. Our WWE champion is the one who decides the era for each Super WrestleMania event. Whoever holds that title literally pulls the entire show into their time period. But outside of the champion's influence, anything can happen. All timelines coexist, so there is constant movement and happenings going on behind the scenes in the WWE Multiverse. Wrestlers crossing from one era into another. All kinds of surprise appearances, rivalries forming that shouldn't even be possible. And speaking of champions, let's not forget how we got here. Back in 2025 in the real world, it was the year of John Cena's retirement tour, but also sadly the passing of Hulk Hogan. But in our universe, those two legends met at Super WrestleMania 1. In one of the most emotional main events we've ever seen, Hulk Hogan defeated John Cena to become the new WWE champion at MSG. Hogan now carries our Universal Gold, and he is the man. No! Who will now take us into Super WrestleMania 2. No! Hold it right there, Monsoon. I don't want to hear another word about Cena and Hogan, and I sure as hell don't want to hear you gushing about how Hogan is the man after Super WrestleMania 1. Spare me. The real world champion, the one who actually matters, is Ric Flair. He walked into that show, outsmarted that straight-edge renegade CM Punk, and took the big gold belt like the dirtiest player in the game always does. That's the title that should be dictating where and when the Super WrestleMania shows take place. Not Hogan's little spinning toy. Flair's belt. The one with real history, real prestige, real class. Why is it Hogan's title that decides the fate of everything? Who exactly is setting the rules around here? Is it Jack Tunney? Triple H? The TKO board? I don't even know who's paying my wages. And don't start with that multiverse movement nonsense either. Not unless it involves Ric Flair walking out, styling and profiling. So skip the fan mail. Skip the nostalgia trip about Hogan and Cena, and let's talk about what actually matters. The Nature Boy and why his title should be the one steering this whole ship. Bobby, you do not run this show, so settle down. We are going over some of the early multiverse movement that has started to happen, and we will also be taking a few fan questions that have come in. But first, we are going to look at the Super WrestleMania 2 card. And we will start with the Viper Randy Orton versus Jake Roberts the Snake. Randy Orton wants in on Super WrestleMania, and what an opponent he has found in Jake Roberts. Brain, your thoughts on this matchup? Monsoon, let me tell you something. Randy Orton is great. Bob Orton Jr.'s boy has had one hell of a career for himself. He took the family legacy and elevated it to heights his old man could only dream about. Multiple world titles, main events, the whole package. The kid's got talent, no question, but Jake Roberts is a very, very dangerous man. A man who has been poisoning people's minds and careers since before Orton was even born. I just don't see a way Randy Orton beats Jake Roberts. Jake doesn't need to be faster. He doesn't need to be stronger. He just needs to get his voice inside that head of Randy Orton. Leave the bag at ringside, whisper a few venomous words, and wait for the moment. One mistake, one split second of doubt, and the DDT lands. Game over. Orton might be the Viper in the modern era, but Jake Roberts invented the Venom. And in this era at Super WrestleMania 2, I'm telling you right now, the old snake still has plenty of bite left. So no, I don't see Orton winning. I see Jake Roberts teaching the young Viper a very painful lesson. Bobby, you make a strong case, and I won't argue with the danger Jake Roberts presents. This matchup also comes down to two finishers that can strike in the blink of an eye, the DDT versus the RKO. Whoever hits theirs first may very well walk out the victor. Now, moving on to the next match.
and I say this with just a hint of trepidation because I know it's one of your favorites. Perfect versus CM Punk. Punk is still burning with anger from Super-Wrestlemania 1. He firmly believes, and I happen to agree with him, that Mr. Perfect cost him the World Heavyweight Championship that night with all the interference and distractions. Punk wants revenge, plain and simple, and he wants it badly. I'm calling it right now. CM Punk is going to make Mr. Perfect pay for what happened at Super-Wrestlemania. Brain, I know you're going to defend your man tooth and nail, so go ahead.
Well, you do realize that Mr. Perfect is undefeated, don't you? Since this multiverse kicked off, Perfect hasn't lost once. The streak is back and stronger than ever. He's walking around with that towel and that smug grin because he knows he's still perfect. Punk can cry all he wants about what happened at Super-Wrestlemania 1, but at Super-Wrestlemania 2, it's going to be easy. Drops him with the perfect plex. 1, 2, 3. Routine. After that, you can say goodbye to CM Punk in the golden era. You won't see him again after Super-Wrestlemania 2. He's 0-2 and done.
I agree that CM Punk will get a few good punches in and may just punch Mr. Perfect's lights out for costing him the big gold. Either way, I expect CM Punk is going to make that a fight. Mr. Perfect may be a great technician, but Punk is out for blood. Let's mix the show up right now and go to a question from one of our viewers. This one comes from Mark, all the way from International Falls, Minnesota. Mark asks, hey guys, I've watched the show before and I also watched Super-Wrestlemania 1 and I was pretty disappointed. Two old guys both winning the world titles. I think this has potential, but it sucks right now. Brain. You heard the man. What's your response to Mark from International Falls?
You see, this is why I didn't even want to do these fan questions. Now I've got to deal with a humanoid as silly as Mark from International Falls. You see, I'm no fan of Hulk Hogan, but we are about to see one of the biggest matches ever in pro wrestling, and it's happening at its prime time. People wanted this one to happen in 1992 at WrestleMania 8, but now it's happening right at the peak of either man's career, and at Super-Wrestlemania 2, we are going to see Ric Flair defeat the immortal Hulk Hogan in the main event, and his title will become the #1 title in this multiverse.
Well, we're going to get to the main event later. But right now, I'm really excited about the next contest we have lined up for Super-Wrestlemania 2. Bruno Sammartino, the living legend, is having his first singles match at a WrestleMania. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the longest reigning champion in company history, the man who carried the company on his back for years. I even wrestled him in my time, and I know firsthand how tough and unbreakable he was. But his opponent, yet to be determined.
To be determined? I know what that means. It's just going to be some ham and egger, just to make Bruno look good.
Will you stop?
Of course it is. We can't have the living legend actually get tested, can we? Got to protect the old warhorse so he can walk out with his head held high.
I think that's pretty disrespectful, and you're forgetting that this is the multiverse era now. So, I expect we will see a prime Bruno at Super-Wrestlemania 2, and I'm sure it will be fitting competition for the great man. Now, we are going to take a look at the multiverse movement. Folks, things are already starting to stir across the timelines. Wrestlers are beginning to cross eras in the games. And some very interesting matchups have popped up that we didn't plan. The first one that caught my eye involves somebody we have already mentioned for the Super-Wrestlemania 2 card. None other than Jake the Snake Roberts. And look who Jake welcomed to the golden era. A man who seems to be stuck in limbo after Super-Wrestlemania. Cody Rhodes. Only it was still not the Cody that many fans in the modern era love. No, it was Stardust. Unfortunately for Stardust, Jake made short work of him. He hit the DDT for the win, and check out what happened after the match. Jake wrapping one of his snakes around Stardust and absolutely shaking his cosmos. Brain, I know you've picked out a match from the multiverse movement as well.
Oh, now we're talking. While you're busy watching Stardust get snake-wrapped by Jake, I've been keeping my eye on the real world champion. Flair has already been in action. styling, and profiling like only he can, and he took that big gold World Heavyweight Championship back to world-class championship wrestling for a match against an old rival, Kerry Von Erich. And just like I expected, the Nature Boy handled business the way only he can. Kerry gave it everything he had, but in the end, Flair locked in the figure 4 leg lock, tightened it up nice and deep, and made the Texas Tornado submit right in the middle of the ring.
Well, I'm not sure if you were telling the whole truth there. I heard it was a 1-hour time limit draw, and the match ended with that figure 4 locked in, but nonetheless, let's move on. Another match that has taken place comes from the much-loved Attitude Era. And believe it or not, The Miz showed up, and waiting for him was Stone Cold Steve Austin. Austin opened a can of whoop-ass on The Miz. Miz didn't just take one stunner. He actually took a second stunner and threw the announce table. So, not the greatest idea from Miz to show up. He's having a pretty rough time in the multiverse so far.
Wait a minute. Why does Stone Cold have a belt?
Because he's a champion.
But I thought Hogan was the WWE
The Universal Champion. Stone Cold is the WWE Champion for the Attitude Era in our multiverse.
So Hogan is the Multiverse Champion?
Whatever. Now let's move on to another big one. The steel cage match between King Kong Bundy and Roman Reigns. This is Roman Reigns' debut at a Super-Wrestlemania, and he's looking to do something his modern-day rival couldn't quite manage at Super-Wrestlemania 1. You'll remember that Bundy pretty much squashed young Cody Rhodes in short order. Roman wants to prove he can do better against the same monster inside that unforgiving blue steel cage. It's a classic big man clash. Bundy's raw power and avalanche offense against Reigns' explosiveness, Superman punches, and spears. The cage adds an extra layer of brutality. There's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Brain. It feels like a statement match for Roman as he tries to establish himself in the golden era.
I think it will be a great contest, Monsoon. Two big, powerful men locked inside that blue steel cage. Should be brutal, but I don't think that I'll be in Bundy's corner for this one. There's not much even I can do from outside the cage. And let's just say it didn't go well for me the last time Bundy fought inside the blue steel.
Probably because you plan to be in the corner of Ric Flair. But let's go to another fan question that came in. This one is from Steve in Billings, Montana. Steve asks if it's Flair versus Hogan headlining Super-Wrestlemania 2. How can the era change if both guys are from the same era? Good question, Brain.
Well, don't ask me. How would I know?
I thought you were a broadcast journalist. Never mind. It's a great question, and the answer is it won't change. We will be staying in the golden era for Super WrestleMania 3 also, but this is a great opportunity for me to explain the 3-cap rule. And what that means is we will only ever stay in the same era for a maximum of 3 Super WrestleMania cards running.
What happens after 3?
If we ever have 3 Super WrestleMania events in the same era, and without a title change that shifts the era, then the following Super WrestleMania event will take place in the current present-day WWE.
Like a hard reset. But who is making these decisions?
I don't know, Brain, but how come I have more answers right now when you're meant to be the broadcast journalist?
Never mind.
And now, finally, the one everyone's waiting for. The main event of Super WrestleMania 2. Champion versus champion. Hulk Hogan versus Ric Flair. It's a non-title match. Just 2 of the greatest names in wrestling history meeting for the first time on this stage. Hogan with the classic 1980s gold on his shoulder and Hulkamania running wild. Flair with all the styling, profiling, and dirty tricks that make him the Nature Boy. This is the dream match fans have wanted for decades, and it's happening right here at Super WrestleMania 2.
Well, firstly, I hope Hogan does have that 1980s gold on his shoulder or around his waist. And not that spinner bling, but actually I am indeed a broadcast journalist. And I have some breaking news right now. While we have been on the air, I have received a text message, and it states that at Super WrestleMania 2 in the main event, Yes, it will be a non-title match. No title on the line. But whoever is the winner of this champion versus champion match, their title will now be the title that dictates the direction of the multiverse going forward.
What?
I can't believe it. Somebody actually listened to me for once. I'm starting to like this multiverse, and I am excited because I know that Flair is going to get the job done and his big gold will hold the keys to it. And also, yes, I will be in the corner of Ric Flair for this main event. Woo! You don't believe me, do you, Monsoon?
Actually, I do in fact believe you, Bobby, because I also have received a text. It looks to be the case that the Winners' Championship will become the driving force for the direction in this multiverse. And I think that's fair. It makes sense. But you know what else I think is fair? The fact that no managers will be allowed at ringside for this contest.
What?
For such an important stipulation with such serious repercussions.
What the hell are you talking about?
This is Gorilla Monsoon saying thank you for joining us. Super-Wrestlemania 2 is soon upon us.
That's not fair to
So
Flair.
long, everybody. We'll see you next time on the Fantasy Book Podcast.
Who texted you? This can't be right. It's not fair to Flair. It's not fair to me. Wait, somebody needs to call my lawyer.